Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years. We're dedicated to delivering quality auto parts, expert customer service, fast and free shipping, all backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. So visit us at 1AAuto.com, your trusted source for quality auto parts.
In this video, we're going to be working with our 2013 Ford F250 Super Duty with the 6.7 Power Stroke diesel. We're going to be showing you how to remove and replace your vehicle's DEF or reductant sending unit for the diesel exhaust fluid tank. If you like this video, please click subscribe. We have a ton more information on this and many other vehicles. And if you need parts for your truck, you can follow the link down in the description over to 1AAuto.com. Here are the items you'll need for this repair.
Remove the 13mm bolt at the front part of the skid plate at the center of the truck. This is just to the driver's side of the drive shaft. Remove that with a socket, ratchet, and some extensions. We'll then remove the two 13mm bolts on the back strap. This is at the rear of the truck, about 2 feet ahead of the rear differential, depending on your wheelbase. Remove the 5 fasteners on the frame rail side. This is on the driver's side of the skid plate. There are 2 bolts here at the front, a nut just about flush with the rear cab mount, another bolt tucked up in here just after the leaf spring perch, and all the way at the back, closest to the axle, there's another nut. We'll remove all of these with 13mm socket and ratchet, as well as various extensions as necessary. Now I'm supporting the skid plate with my knee while I remove the last bolt. These little metal clips can be troublesome. I'll then lower the skid plate and slide it out of the way. Open the fuel door and remove the 3 5.5mm screws securing the DEF filler neck with a socket and ratchet. Remove the cap on your DEF filler neck, along with the little safety collar on it here that just pops off the threads. Pull the filler neck down and through, and we'll screw the cap back on just to prevent any spills or other issues while we're working on it. So on top of the DEF tank are all these connectors. This large grayish whitish connector here toward the back just above the brake lines and the ABS sensor bracket is connected to all of them. So we'll disconnect that and then use a trim tool to pry it off of the bracket so we don't have to disconnect everything individually. Once the connector is disconnected, we'll pop the other end of the connector off of its bracket. We'll also use a trim tool to pop off the connectors for the retainers for the DEF injector hose, so we have enough room to drop our DEF tank down and then disconnect the injector hose, as opposed to trying to do it blind where we are now. We'll then remove this 13mm bolt on the DEF tank bracket under the center of the truck. We'll then remove the 2 13mm bolts on the back side of the DEF tank. These are just above and ahead of the axle. I'm using my forearm and chest to support it so we can lower it down and out in a controlled fashion when we remove the last bolt. Once the last bolt's out, carefully lower your DEF tank I'm now going to remove myself out from under it. Be careful of your filler lines coming over top of the frame as well. Send your filler neck over the frame. Undo this connector on the injector line and then pinch. Kind of want to push in, and then there's this tab here and its twin on the other side. You'll want to compress both of those with your hands and then just wiggle that injection line off. Let that hang out of the way. And we'll slide our DEF tank out from under the truck. Disconnect the electrical connectors on the sending unit. This one's a little tricky, so you may want to use a hooked pick and just kind of pop up the tab. Remove that. We'll disconnect all the other ones while we're here. Now, it may not be entirely necessary to remove all of these connectors. We just want to make sure that we have plenty of slack when we remove our harness. Once everything is unplugged, remove the 3 4mm Allen bolts, securing the module to the top of the tank. Remove the module from the top of the tank. Install the module back on top and reinstall the 3 4mm Allen screws. Reconnect the harness. Remember, these two get plugged in once this goes back into the vehicle. Slide your DEF tank back under the vehicle. Carefully send the filler neck and lines over the frame. Be careful not to twist them up and let them get kinked. Reconnect the injector nozzle and connector. And reinstall your DEF tank into the truck. Reinstall all of the 13mm bolts into your DEF tank. We'll now tighten down all of this hardware with our 13mm sockets, ratchets, and extensions. Reconnect the main electrical connector on your DEF tank. Remove the DEF cap and reinstall the filler neck into its spot behind the fuel door. We'll then reinstall the 3 5.5mm screws with a socket and ratchet. Reinstall the collar over the threads and screw in your DEF cap. Install your skid plate. I'm using my knee to hold it up in place while I set the 2 13mm nuts, as those are the fastest piece of hardware to install. Once that's in, I'm going to slide under it and install bolts on the other side to keep it level and in place. You can now tighten down all of the 13mm hardware with a socket, ratchet, and extension.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at oneauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.